Hello everybody, and welcome to the Chemistry 121 Supplemental Instruction series of videos. I'm Joey Smokey, and in this episode we're going to be talking about molecular shape. Now, molecular shape is divided into two specific things: electron geometry and molecular geometry. Basically, it's just how things look in a molecule, how the atoms are oriented around the central atom. So in electron geometry, basically you're concerned about the atoms and electron pairs that are floating around a central atom in a molecule. So if you have something in the middle, that's what everything attaches to, the atom in the middle. The electron geometry is concerned about all the electron pairs and all the atoms that are around that central atom. In molecular geometry, it's kind of the same thing, except then you're not worried about the lone pairs. You're just concerned about the atoms that are surrounding the central atom. Now, there's 5 main kinds of shapes that you're going to want to be familiar with: tetrahedral, trigonal planar, trigonal pyramidal, bent, and linear. So a linear shape is basically where you have two atoms connected to a central atom, and basically it just looks like a line. Therefore it's called linear. In a tetrahedral molecule, basically you've got your central atom and you have 4 other atoms surrounding it, but it kind of makes like this cross shape, like an X sort of a thing. And by the way, these are all molecular geometries right now, since we're just talking about atoms surrounding the main, the central atom, and we're not concerned about electron pairs yet. So trigonal planar is the next one we're going to be talking about. So here you're going to have 3 atoms surrounding the central atom. So basically it looks like a triangle in a flat form. Now we're going to start talking about 2 particular shapes, the trigonal pyramidal and the bent one. Now these two do have electron geometry as well as molecular geometry. So in the bent shape, it looks kind of like, you have your central atom, and then you have 2 other atoms around it, and you have also 2 electron lone pairs. Now what's happening is that those lone pairs are basically forcing the other 2 atoms down to kind of make this bent shape. Now, molecular-wise, it looks kind of like, it's linear. You only have 2 things bonded to the central atom. But in reality, the electron geometry for a bent shape is tetrahedral, because you have 4 things around it: 2 lone pairs and 2 atoms. So in the bent shape, it has, a bent molecular geometry, but it has a tetrahedral electron geometry. Okay? So make sure you understand the difference between those two. The electron geometry takes into consideration the lone pairs in addition to the atoms around it. Now the next one is trigonal pyramidal. So it's kind of like the trigonal planar one, except you have 1 lone pair basically above the central atom. So here, again, notice we have 4 things. So the electron geometry for a trigonal pyramidal molecule is tetrahedral, but the molecular geometry is obviously trigonal pyramidal, because that lone pair up on the top there is basically forcing the other 3 atoms bonded to the central atom away. So it kind of looks like a pyramid, and that's why they call it trigonal pyramidal. So those are the main different shapes that you're going to be concerned with for Chemistry 121. And yeah, just make sure you understand the difference between electron geometry and molecular geometry, and you should be pretty good. So, and make sure you go out there and practice with some different Lewis structures, kind of get used to how to draw things in a tetrahedral shape and, like a bent shape and all that sort of stuff, because that might be something that you'll absolutely see on a test, and you might have to know how to do that. So there you go, molecular shapes.